people. Other people are getting rich, like the Middle East, and of course China. So what you need to do in Europe is to exploit our brand names, for example Harrods, and say to the new rich, Chinese, Middle East, look, this is the unique name. You need to have this all over your home and all over your clothes. And by the way, these items cost an awful lot of money, but it's worth it because you're part of Harrods' mystique.
Now, the Harrods name, the brand, the company has been associated now for many, many years, of course, with Mohammed Al Fayed and the Al Fayed family. Over the time that they have owned it, what do you think they have achieved? What have they been able to get out of the business?
Well, he leaves the scene with London being probably the #1 retail centre in the world. And if you think of London versus, say, Paris, Paris is, a much more attractive place, but it's much smaller in terms of retail. And Al Fayed told people in London, forget rich British people and all the rest of it, focus on the new mega wealth of the Middle East. That's where we're going to make loads of money. People didn't believe him at first, but they did follow, and other shops have followed, and now here we are in central London, very, very big retail centre in the world. And that's his achievement. So I would say, well done, Mr. Al Fayed. We should forgive him, we should make him a citizen, and he should be Lord Al Fayed. He's done so much for Britain.
Professor Baker, thank you very much indeed. So Mohammed Al Fayed selling this business after 25 years, but he has been asked to stay on as honorary chairman, and he has accepted that position.
Signs of progress tonight as David Cameron and Nick Clegg hold a face-to-face meeting about forming a new government. They returned home a short while ago after 70 minutes of talks said to be amicable and constructive. Earlier, the party leaders had stood together at a service to mark VE Day, but there's no agreement yet on who'll be the new Prime Minister. But the pressure mounts on the Lib Dems to deliver on their big promise to change the voting system.
It is in the interests of everybody in Great Britain for us to use this opportunity to usher in a new politics after the discredited politics.
Also in the day's news, the deep-sea attempt to stop the leak of oil in the Gulf of Mexico. And the world's most famous department store is sold for £1.5 billion. A very good evening from number 10 Downing Street after a day of intensive efforts to try to form a new government. Earlier this evening, David Cameron and Nick Clegg held a face-to-face meeting to explore the possibility of striking a deal. That meeting was said to be amicable and constructive. The two leaders also held talks with their own party colleagues during the day. But senior Labour figures insist that Gordon Brown, who is still in post here as Prime Minister, is not out of the frame. For the latest, this report from James Landale.
For a brief moment today, they put politics aside to remember victory in Europe. A victory that ensured Britain's democracy and allowed us to decide which of them should be Prime Minister. At least that's the theory. In practice, this man will have a large say. Nick Clegg braving the cameras this morning to consult his party over whether he should do a deal with the Tories. As ever, he set out his bottom line: lower taxes, fairer education, economic reform, and his holy grail.
Fundamental political reform to our political system, and it's precisely those four changes which will guide us in the talks ahead. Thank you very much.
Mr Clegg,
The key question was what he would offer the Lib Dems.
Mr Cameron, are you ready to make a deal today?
Well, yes, he is, but not at any price.